The hidden temples, secret love rituals of ancient Egypt. Golden light bathes the ancient ruins along the Nile at sunrise. The ruins emerge from the morning mist as the sun climbs higher. The golden glow settles over the vast, quiet expanse. This is where history sleeps, waiting to be awakened. The team begins the delicate work of uncovering lost history. Every grain of sand holds a piece of the story. What secrets will these ancient words reveal about love? The first line is always the most significant. Look at the poses, the devotion is clear. The connection depicted here is beyond the mundane. Even after millennia, the intention remains palpable. These are not merely decorations, they are instructional. Narrator. In the heart of Egypt, archaeologists have found what appears to be a temple dedicated to forbidden rites of love. Forbidden love rituals that challenge accepted history. The very idea of sacred intimacy was codified here. Secrets buried for millennia, now brought to light. Descending into the heart of the forgotten structure. The murals tell tales of devotion and forbidden desire. Faded colors hint at the vibrant life once celebrated here. The deeper we go, the older the secrets become. Soft torchlight reveals scenes of dancers and priests performing symbolic rituals. The torchlight moves across the murals, emphasizing symbolic connection. The movement stops, focusing on a specific ritualistic pose. The torch passes over carved hieroglyphs beneath the murals. The light is suddenly extinguished, plunging the corridor into darkness. Torchlight brings the sacred performance to life. Symbolic gestures of profound spiritual connection. The dancers mimic the cosmic movements of rebirth. Each step, each gesture, an act of profound reverence. Expert interview. These images represent the union of divine masculine and feminine energy. The expert emphasizes the meaning of the depicted union. Cut to a brief, symbolic visual illustrating the concept. Return to the expert, who nods with finality on the interpretation. Slow motion shot of ancient perfume jars discovered in situ. Focus on various bronze ritual instruments lying beside the jars. A conservator carefully brushes near a delicate bronze object. The camera pulls back to show the organized care taken during excavation. Animation shows how the ceremonies were performed to honor goddess Hathor. The priestesses offer symbolic gifts to Hathor. Focus on the symbolic representation of Hathor's presence. The final gesture, a symbolic embrace of divine love. Archaeologists decode inscriptions. Through desire, we return to creation. The deciphered text is shown overlaid on the physical tablet. Another team member confirms the translation. The team pauses, absorbing the meaning of the inscription. A slow pan sweeps over a golden statue of Hathor with her sacred cow horns. The camera lingers on the serene facial expression. A slow pullback reveals the scale of the statue against the chamber. The light catches the sacred symbols inscribed on the statue's pedestal. A slow pan sweeps over the golden statue of Hathor, goddess of love and rebirth. The narrator explains the belief that physical union mirrored cosmic balance. Carvings show intertwined forms representing the merging of souls. 3D reconstruction shows the temple filled with musicians and dancers. Narrator. These rituals weren't about pleasure, they were sacred acts of renewal. Narration explains the belief that physical union mirrored cosmic balance. Close-up of carvings intertwined forms representing soul merging. 3D reconstruction shows temple interior filled with musicians and dancers. Narrator. These rituals weren't about pleasure, they were sacred acts of renewal. Extreme close-up of detailed carvings, intertwined forms representing soul merging. 3D reconstruction of temple interior, filled with musicians and dancers. Narrator. These rituals weren't about pleasure, they were sacred acts of renewal. 3D reconstruction of temple interior, filled with musicians and dancers. Narrator. These rituals weren't about pleasure, they were sacred acts of renewal. Scholars compare findings to Greek and Mesopotamian fertility cults. Archaeologist Dr. Amina. The Egyptians believed creation itself began with divine passion. Narrator. These rituals weren't about pleasure, they were sacred acts of renewal. Scholars compare findings to Greek and Mesopotamian fertility cults. Archaeologist Dr. Amina. The Egyptians believed creation itself began with divine passion. Sound of ancient flutes and drums fades in. Scene of reenactment, fully clothed, artistic silhouettes. Scholars compare findings to Greek and Mesopotamian fertility cults. Archaeologist Dr. Amina. The Egyptians believed creation itself began with divine passion. Sound of ancient flutes and drums fades in. Scene of reenactment, fully clothed, artistic silhouettes. Footage of papyrus scrolls being unrolled and studied. Scholars compare Abydos' findings to fertility cults in Greece and Mesopotamia. Dr. Amina states, the Egyptians believed creation itself began with divine passion. Sound of ancient flutes and drums begins to weave into the scene. The reenactment portrays stylized movements meant to convey sacred union. Dr. Amina speaks passionately about the creation myth. She holds up a cast replica of a key inscription. Footage shows conservators carefully unrolling fragile papyrus scrolls. The scrolls are being studied to understand the esoteric knowledge. Archaeologist Dr. Amina. The Egyptians believed creation itself began with divine passion. Sound of ancient flutes and drums fades in. Scene of reenactment, fully clothed, artistic silhouettes. Footage of papyrus scrolls being unrolled and studied. Narration. In every age, humans sought connection not just to each other, but to eternity. Authentic sounds of ancient flutes and drums begin to build tension. Artistic reenactment shows silhouettes performing symbolic gestures. The camera focuses on the resonant quality of the ancient musical instruments. The drumming provides a steady, driving heartbeat to the ceremony. Conservators carefully unroll extremely fragile papyrus scrolls in a controlled setting. Footage focuses on the painstaking process of flattening the ancient documents. The scrolls reveal texts describing esoteric knowledge. The scholars are trying to piece together the narrative from the fragments. The narrator suggests that all humans seek eternal connection. In every age, humans sought connection. Not just to each other, but to eternity. Visuals shift from the temple back to modern humanity interacting tenderly. The camera lingers on an ancient carved symbol of unity. A macro shot captures delicate, finely incised hieroglyphs detailing the path of fire and breath. The text emphasizes the esoteric nature of the knowledge. Artistic animation shows energy flow through sacred geometric symbols. The energy flow illustrates energy transfer during the ritual. A macro shot captures the delicate hieroglyphs detailing the path of fire and breath. Artistic animation illustrates the flow of energy through sacred symbols. Comparison shot shows similar iconography between Abydos and the Temple of Dendera carvings. The team discovers and begins excavating a perfectly sealed chamber door. Return to artistic animation showing energy flow through sacred symbols. The energy flow visually charts the transfer of spiritual force. Comparison to Temple of Dendera carvings showing similar ceremonies. The alignment shows similar iconography related to Hathor's rituals. Tension builds as the heavy stone door is carefully pried open. Torchlight penetrates the darkness, illuminating untouched altars inside. Narrator. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Temple of Hathor breathes again. Camera pans over lotus flower carvings, symbols of rebirth. Orchestral music swells as the team realizes the massive significance of the chamber. A gloved hand carefully lifts a polished bronze mirror from a niche. Narration connects the mirror's symbolism to inner spiritual union. Scholars debate the true nature of the rituals, physical or symbolic. Scholars compare evidence, noting unique Egyptian characteristics. The team discovers a hidden, perfectly sealed chamber door. They work intensely to clear debris, revealing the entrance. The sealed chamber is located beneath the main altar area. Tension builds as hydraulic tools pry the heavy stone door open. As the gap widens, torchlight penetrates the darkness within. The light illuminates ancient, untouched altars dusted with millennia of sediment. The camera slowly moves into the chamber, respecting the ancient space. Split-screen animation contrasts the physical and spiritual interpretations. Egyptologist. It's the oldest known philosophy of sacred love. 3D animation reconstructs priestesses invoking Hathor through music and incense. Narrator. In these chambers, sound and scent were tools of transformation. Narrator. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Temple of Hathor breathes again. Camera pans over engraved lotus flowers, symbols of rebirth. Archaeologists exchange looks of awe and realization. Emotional orchestral music swells as the team realizes the site's significance. Infrared scanning reveals hidden textual details glowing faintly. Hidden text revealed. The gods were born through union. Music intensifies as archaeologists grasp the theological implications. Drone captures the temple ruins under a vast, silent moonlight. A gloved hand carefully lifts a polished bronze mirror from a niche. The mirror symbolizes reflection and the soul's image. Narration connects the mirror's symbolism to inner spiritual union. The archaeologists examine the mirror for further clues. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Temple of Hathor breathes again. The narrator narrates the significance of the moment. Camera pans over engraved lotus flowers, symbols of rebirth. The team shares a moment of shared realization of the site's importance. Narrator. These rituals may have inspired myths that shaped human civilization. Cut to the sterile lab where artifacts are being cleaned and preserved. Expert voiceover. Each symbol here represents both body and cosmos. Artistic close-up, hands drawing ancient symbols in golden sand. A slow pan over lotus flower carvings, symbols of rebirth. Emotional orchestral music swells as the team absorbs the discovery. The team notices the significant objects placed in niches. The camera focuses on an ancient artifact being revealed. Scholars debate whether the rituals were physical or entirely symbolic. Split-screen animation contrasts the two primary interpretations. The animation emphasizes the sacred nature of the acts. Egyptologist interview. It's the oldest known philosophy of sacred love. A gloved hand carefully lifts the bronze mirror artifact. Narration connects the mirror's symbolism to inner spiritual union. Scholars debate the nature of the rituals, physical or symbolic. Split-screen animation compares physical and spiritual interpretations. 3D animation reconstructs priestesses invoking Hathor through music and incense. The invocation is visually represented through swirling smoke and resonant tones. Narration. In these chambers, sound and scent were tools of transformation. Footage shows temple wall carvings glowing under infrared scanning. Infrared scan successfully reveals a critical, previously obscured line of text. The revealed text is shown prominently. Music intensifies as archaeologists grasp the profound implications. The camera focuses on the lead archaeologists' faces as they react. The Egyptologist confirms the philosophical significance. 3D animation reconstructs priestesses invoking Hathor. Narration highlights sound and scent as transformation tools. Infrared scanning reveals glowing hidden text. Drone captures the temple ruins under the desert moonlight. The vastness of the desert emphasizes the isolation of the site. Narrator speculates on the far-reaching cultural impact of these rituals. Visuals merge the temple with mythical representations of creation. Hidden text revealed. The gods were born through union. Music intensifies as archaeologists realize the scale of the discovery. Drone captures temple ruins under moonlight. Narrator speculates on the ritual's influence on civilization. Scholars debate the true nature of the ancient rites. Was it a physical union or a spiritual merging of souls? The evidence points to both physical passion and cosmic creation. The Egyptians saw desire as the very force of creation itself. The scene cuts to the sterile environment of a museum lab. Artifacts recovered from the site are being meticulously cleaned. Cataloging and preservation specialists work on sensitive, movable artifacts. The work emphasizes the fragility and value of the pieces. Cut to museum lab, artifacts being cleaned and preserved. Expert voiceover. Each symbol here represents both body and cosmos. Artistic close-up, hands drawing symbols in golden sand. Narration. What we call passion, they called creation. Expert voiceover. Each symbol here represents both body and cosmos. The camera focuses on small, interconnected objects demonstrating unity. Artistic close-up, hands drawing ancient symbols in golden sand. The hand continues drawing the symbols, emphasizing creation. A split screen reveals the two possible interpretations of the rites. One path follows the body, the other, the soul. The ambiguity forces us to reconsider ancient belief structures. This is arguably the world's earliest articulation of sacred love. Narrator. What we call passion, they called creation. The visual shows the symbols drawn in the sand being erased by a gentle breeze. Footage of the Nile sunset, camera zooms out slowly. The camera zooms out slowly, showing the vastness of the Egyptian landscape. Egyptologist offers a cultural perspective on the discovery. It's the oldest known philosophy of sacred love. The wisdom transcends mere physical acts, it is divine cosmology. This philosophy shaped their entire concept of life and afterlife. Archival footage compares findings to Karnak and Luxor. The comparison demonstrates consistency in iconography. Theories emerge. Were these rituals led by priestesses or royal families? The debate centers on status and access to the sacred knowledge. Priestesses used music and incense to invoke the presence of Hathor. The sound created a resonance to connect the earthly and divine realms. The scents were carefully chosen elements for transformation. Scent, sound, and sight formed a complete sensory pathway to the divine. Animated sequence compares hieroglyphic evidence to modern research. The digital representations show hypothesis alignment. Sound of chanting fades in, camera moves through the temple once more. The chanting emphasizes the sacred geometry of the structure. The hidden secrets of the walls are revealed by modern science. Infrared analysis exposes text that has been invisible for millennia. A profound inscription comes to light: the gods were born through union. This sentence redefined the entire theological understanding of the ritual. The music swells as the archaeologists grasp the full weight of their finding. This single revelation links passion directly to cosmic origins. The temple sleeps under the desert sky once more. Their sacred rites were, in essence, an act of perpetual creation. Infrared scanning reveals hidden details in the temple carvings. Hidden text glows: the gods were born through union. Dr. Amina reacts to the profound translation of the hidden text. The music intensifies as the archaeologists grasp the theological implications. Narrator. For the ancients, love was the bridge between life and eternity. The visual is a calm shot of the temple structure against a twilight sky. Team prepares final documentation and scans. The team carefully seals containers for transport. The revelation. The gods were born through union. The music builds as the team realizes the scale of their find. Night falls over the newly revealed temple complex. Narrator. These rituals may have inspired myths that shaped human civilization. The scene cuts to the sterile museum lab where artifacts are being preserved. Expert voiceover. Each symbol here represents both body and cosmos. Artistic hands draw symbols in golden sand. Narrator. What we call passion, they called creation. A slow zoom out captures the Nile sunset, casting long shadows. Archival footage compares Abydos' findings with Karnak and Luxor sites. Scholars debate the leadership of the sacred rites. Animated sequence compares hieroglyphic evidence with modern research. Chanting fades in as the camera moves back through the main temple passage. Narrator. For the ancients, love was the bridge between life and eternity. The team meticulously documents and scans the final artifacts. Final interview. We found humanity's oldest secret. Artifacts are cleaned and preserved in the museum lab. Expert voice-over explains the unity of body and cosmos in symbolism. Artistic hands draw symbols in the golden sand again. Narrator. What we call passion, they called creation. Artifacts are carefully cleaned and preserved in a sterile museum lab. Expert voiceover. Each symbol here represents both body and cosmos. A close-up on artifacts showing interconnectedness. The visual shows the body and cosmos represented by symbols. Artistic close-up. Hands drawing ancient symbols in golden sand. The drawing in the sand begins to shift under the light wind. The narrator reflects. What we call passion, they called creation. The sand drawing is completely erased by the wind. Footage of the Nile sunset. Camera zooms out slowly. Comparing finds in Karnak and Luxor. Scholars debate if rites were led by priestesses or royalty. Dr. Amina presses her point about the evidence. Animated sequence comparing hieroglyphic evidence to research. Chanting sound fades in as the camera glides through the temple. The camera lingers on the intertwined carving details. The narrator summarizes. Love was the bridge between life and eternity. Team prepares final documentation and scans. The lead archaeologist shares the profound realization. Final interview. We haven't just found a temple, we found humanity's oldest secret. The significance of the find is highlighted by the ancient architecture. Archival footage compares Abydos to Karnak and Luxor findings. Scholars debate the social structure behind the rites. Theories emerge. Were these rituals exclusive to royalty? Were these rites led by powerful priestesses? Scholars compare findings to establish knowledge. Extreme close-up of a hieroglyph glowing under sunlight. The sun angle shifts, and the glow fades. Fade out to golden dunes, wind echoing softly. The final echo of the ancient heart remains in the silence. Animated sequence compares hieroglyphic evidence to modern research. Visual alignment emphasizes the ancient philosophy's sophistication. The visual transition emphasizes the continuity of the concept. The complexity of the interpretation is visually represented. Chanting sound fades in as the camera re-enters the temple. The camera emphasizes the sacred geometry of the architecture. A final look at the path of the ancient priests. The chanting sound fades out, giving way to quiet reverence. The narrator summarizes the ultimate truth found here. For the ancients, love was the bridge between life and eternity. The connection between passion and creation is eternal. The secrets rest beneath the sands once more. The team prepares final documentation and scans, securing the artifacts for preservation. The team reflects on the profound nature of their discovery. The site is temporarily secured against the elements. The team prepares final documentation and scans. They carefully seal containers for transport of the most sensitive, movable artifacts. The team finishes their painstaking work, looking back at the site with a sense of accomplishment. The narrator emphasizes the profound nature of the discovery. The lead archaeologist gives the final, reflective interview. We haven't just found a temple, we found humanity's oldest secret. The weight of history settled upon the discovery team. A moment of quiet triumph for the research team. The lead archaeologist speaks directly about the secret they have uncovered. We haven't just found a temple, we found humanity's oldest secret. The narrator reinforces the magnitude of the find. The camera focuses on the enduring presence of the ancient stone. A single hieroglyph catches the morning sunlight and seems to glow. The light reveals hidden beauty within the ancient markings. The camera moves in closer to emphasize the sheer detail of the ancient artistry. The scene holds on this perfect detail as the mystery sinks in. The visual dissolves slowly out of the temple and into the desert. The only sound remaining is the soft, echoing whisper of the desert wind. The camera begins a very slow zoom out, revealing the small footprint of the discovery in the massive environment. The last visible structure fades into the heat haze. The closing montage begins with the temple ruins under a stunning desert night sky. A slow pan over a majestic, intact statue of Hathor. The montage continues, focusing on the eternal flow of the Nile River. Close-ups of the polished bronze mirror reflecting the desert stars. Intercut with close-ups of the polished bronze mirror reflecting the desert stars. The montage cuts to rapid, evocative flash cuts of the most beautiful details discovered. The camera pulls back high into the atmosphere again over the temple. The orchestral music reaches a gentle, resonant peak as the camera hangs over the site. The enduring flow of the Nile symbolizes eternal life, intercut with the mirror reflecting the stars. Close-ups reveal fragments of murals, ancient instruments, and the lotus symbol, all bathed in gold. Rapid, evocative flash cuts showcasing the beauty of the revealed ancient artistry. The camera pulls back high into the atmosphere, showing the temple complex in the vast desert immensity. The music reaches a gentle, resonant peak as the visual emphasizes humanity's place in history. Focus returns to the stillness of the site as dawn approaches, with light touching the chamber entrance. The cycle continues. The temple remains a silent testament to ancient devotion. The screen fades to black, leaving only the echoing whisper of the desert wind. In the silence of the sands, the echoes of the ancient heart still remain. The narration ends over darkness. In the silence of the sands, the echoes of the ancient heart still remain.